you watching closely?
That's the first line we hear in The Prestige. And by the time the credits roll, it takes on a whole new meaning. I just rewatched this movie, and honestly, my brain hasn't stopped turning since. Because The Prestige isn't just about magic, it is a magic trick. A film that uses misdirection, obsession, and sacrifice, not just on its characters, but on us, the audience. So let's break it down together, scene by scene, and try to unravel the illusion. Directed by Christopher Nolan and based on the novel by Christopher Priest, The Prestige is a layered psychological thriller set in 19th-century London. At its heart, it's about two rival magicians, Robert Angier and Alfred Borden. These two aren't just competing, they're trying to destroy each other. Now here's what makes this movie extra special. It's structured exactly like a magic trick. It has three parts: the pledge, where you're shown something ordinary; the turn, where that ordinary thing does something extraordinary; and the prestige, the part where it comes back and leaves you in awe. Once you realize this structure, the whole movie transforms into a puzzle you're meant to watch more than once. We begin with something strange, a foggy field full of top hats. Dozens of them, scattered like forgotten thoughts. No explanation, just a question in your mind. Then, Cutter, played by Michael Caine, begins narrating, calmly explaining how magic works. As he talks, we're shown disconnected images. A birdcage, a little girl, a man backstage, someone sneaking into a theater. We don't know what's happening yet, and that's the point. Just like a magician, Nolan is distracting us, setting the stage. Then we're thrown right into it. Underneath the theater stage, a trapdoor opens, and Robert Angier, played by Hugh Jackman, falls into a large glass tank of water. The door of the tank slams shut. He's trapped, flailing, drowning. Watching him from nearby, played by Christian Bale, is Alfred Borden. Silent, cold, he just stands there. The next scene? A courtroom. Borden is on trial for Angier's murder. Cutter, who was Angier's stage engineer, or Angier, testifies. He tells the jury that Borden moved the tank under the trapdoor that night, and simply watched as Angier drowned. From there, we cut to prison. Borden is behind bars, awaiting trial. He's visited by a man named Owens, a solicitor representing someone mysterious, Lord Caldlow. Owens says Lord Caldlow is willing to take care of Borden's daughter, but only if Borden gives up the secret behind his most famous trick, the transported man. Then, things get even more layered. Owens hands Borden a diary, Angier's diary. And as Borden begins reading it, we hear Angier's voice through narration. But inside Angier's diary, we learn that he had Borden's diary too. So now we're watching Borden read Angier, reading Borden. A journal within a journal. A trick within a trick. Angier travels to Colorado, trying to meet the elusive Nikola Tesla. But Tesla's assistant, Allie, tells him the inventor is unavailable. Then we jump further back. Angier and Borden are young assistants for a magician named Milton. Julia, Angier's wife, is the stage performer. Borden is bold and constantly experimenting. Angier is careful, grounded, and completely in love with Julia. One night, Borden suggests tying a more dangerous knot, the Langford double. Julia hesitates, but agrees. Angier is unsure, but Borden insists it's safe. Tension rises. Later, Cutter sends them to spy on a rival magician. Borden immediately figures out his trick, showing just how sharp and ambitious he is. Around this time, Borden meets a woman named Sarah at a show. They connect, and soon begin dating. Meanwhile, in the present timeline, Cutter demonstrates to the judge how Angier's final trick supposedly worked. He says there was no real secret behind the machine. Then he reveals the tank, the one Angier died in. And this takes us to one of the most tragic moments of the film. We see the flashback of Julia's fatal accident. Angier and Borden tie the knots as usual and she's lowered into the tank. The curtain falls, but something goes wrong. The tank doesn't open. She doesn't emerge. Panic breaks out. Cutter smashes the glass. They pull her out, but it's too late. She drowns during the performance. Afterward, Angier confronts Borden and asks him which knot did he tie, but Borden answers that he doesn't know. It's vague, frustrating, and possibly a lie, but that's the moment everything shifts. The rivalry becomes personal. The obsession begins. We're in Sarah's apartment. She walks in, and Borden introduces her to a quiet, stiff man named Fallon, his new engineer. Fallon barely says a word before awkwardly leaving. Then Sarah drops a surprise. She's pregnant. For a moment, Borden lights up. He's present, happy, but it doesn't last. Almost immediately, he shifts back to magician mode, telling Sarah about a new trick, the bullet catch. If you know stage magic, you know this one's deadly. Borden explains the trick. The bullet's fake, made of wax. The magician palms it before the gunfires, all illusion. But if someone loads a real bullet? That's game over. Sarah's worried. Borden brushes it off and says he loves her. But she replies, not today. She can tell when he means it, and when he doesn't. It's a small line, easy to miss, but on rewatch, it's haunting. Foreshadowing at its finest. At the next show, Borden is performing. The crowd heckles him, so he jumps straight into the bullet catch. He calls up a volunteer. A man steps forward, and as he loads the bullet, something feels off. Then the camera pans up, it's Angier. Disguised, calm, cold, ready for revenge. He asks the question burning in him ever since Julia died. Which knot did you tie? Borden gives the same answer. I don't know. Angier pulls the trigger. But Fallon, watching from the wings, tackles him just in time. Borden survives, but loses 2 fingers. A few days later, Sarah is tending to Borden's wound, but something's strange. It looks fresh, like it just happened, no signs of healing. She suggests seeing a doctor. Borden snaps at her. More than the wound, it's his energy that scares her. He's cold, distant, not the same man who celebrated her pregnancy. It feels like a quiet moment, but Nolan's planting a seed. Something's off with Borden, something big. Meanwhile, Angier is picking up the pieces. He meets with Cutter in a bar. Cutter wants to move on, new theater, new show. Surprisingly, Angier agrees. They begin rehearsals, and that's when we meet Olivia, played by Scarlett Johansson. She becomes Angier's assistant, but it's obvious there's more between them. Chemistry, maybe even hope. They rehearse a classic birdcage illusion. Dove inside, cage between 2 audience members, and poof, cage disappears, bird appears in hand. Crowd pleaser. The theater owner's interested but wants something bolder. Like the water tank escape or the bullet catch. Opening night, the theater's full. Angier is confident, charming, back in his element. Then comes the birdcage trick. 2 volunteers are called up, 1 man, 1 woman. They walk on stage. Angier asks the man to put his hand on the cage and the woman to put it under it, but the man is missing 2 fingers. It's none other than Borden, in disguise. He locks eyes with Angier. And just as the trick begins, he sabotages it. The cage collapses. The woman's fingers get caught. She screams. Chaos erupts. Borden calmly walks off stage, message delivered. Backstage, Cutter and Angier are stunned. The theater owner is furious. No more shows. Not here. Just like that, their comeback crumbles. But this was never just about the trick. This was personal. A duel in disguise. And it's only getting uglier. Now we see Angier back on his journey. He sits alone in a hotel, flipping through Borden's diary, and writing in his own. 2 rivals, locked in obsession, chasing each other through words, like they're writing the same story from opposite sides. That's when Ali shows up. Angier tells him plainly. He wants Tesla to build a machine, like the one he made for a colleague. Ali takes him outside to a quiet field. And what Angier sees doesn't make sense. Hundreds of light bulbs glowing in the ground, no wires, no power source. Just magic. It's real, and it's only the beginning. Soon after, Angier attends a Tesla demonstration. The place is packed, buzzing with electricity. Tesla's machine fires, lightning fills the room. The crowd panics. People run, but Angier stays still. In the middle of the chaos, he sees someone. It's Borden. Angier follows him, watches from a distance as Borden walks up to Sarah and their daughter, Jess. And in voiceover, we hear Angier admit, I thought I envied Borden. But I never envied his life. One moment, he loved it, the next, he wanted to escape it. His soul and mind were divided. Back in prison, Borden is reading those very words. He feels the weight of Angier's obsession, and quietly breaks. Tears in his eyes. This isn't about tricks anymore. It's 2 men destroying themselves to chase something they don't fully understand. Fallon arrives, bringing Jess to visit. And in that moment, Borden makes a choice. He tells Fallon to inform Lord Caldlow. He's ready to give up his secrets. Not for pride, not for survival, but for his daughter. Meanwhile, Angier finally meets Tesla, played by David Bowie, cool as ever. Tesla sees right through him. He warns Angier. Obsession will be his downfall. But Angier doesn't care. Build the machine, he says. Tesla agrees, but warns him, it'll take time. And while Tesla works, Angier stews in obsession. Back in London, Borden is performing his greatest trick, the transported man. He enters one cabinet, and instantly exits another across the stage. No delay, no wires, no trapdoors. It's flawless, and it kills Angier inside. He becomes obsessed, not just with beating the trick, but with proving Borden's hiding something impossible. Cutter suggests the obvious. It's a double. A twin. Angier refuses. It's too perfect. So Cutter proposes a temporary fix. Use their own double. Enter Gerald Root, an actor, a drunk, but an exact lookalike of Angier. Olivia finds him, and despite Angier's doubts, Cutter trains Root to mimic him. A month later, they perform. Angier steps into a cabinet, drops through a trapdoor, and Root pops up across the stage to thunderous applause. The crowd loves it. The trick works. But under the stage, Angier hears the cheers, without being part of the moment. He doesn't get the spotlight. He doesn't get the prestige. And it eats at him. Later, he tells Cutter he wants to be the one who reappears. Cutter disagrees. Root isn't strong enough to carry the whole act. Without Angier at the start, the trick falls flat. Cutter walks away. But Angier isn't finished. He turns to Olivia and gives her a new job. Work for Borden. Find out his secret. Olivia pushes back. She insists their version is better. The presentation, the flair, it's superior. But Angier doesn't care. He doesn't want a better version. He wants Borden's version. He sends Olivia off, not to help, but to spy. Now we see that Angier meets with Tesla as they prepare to test the machine with Angier's hat, but the hat doesn't disappear at all. The machine isn't working. Ali tells Angier to give them another week and takes him away. Olivia meets with Borden, and to her credit, she's honest. She tells him Angier sent her to steal his secret. But Borden isn't shocked. He already knows how Angier's version works. Olivia confirms what Borden suspects. Angier doesn't believe the truth. He needs there to be more. Backstage, things are crumbling. Root shows up drunk, demanding a raise. He's getting reckless. Cutter warns Angier. It's time to shut it down. Root isn't stable, but Angier refuses. He's too deep in now. Too desperate. What he doesn't know is, Borden already got to Root. Pretending to mistake him for Angier, Borden feeds his ego, telling him to be careful giving the double too much power. The sabotage is set. During another show, Angier steps into the cabinet as usual, but there's no landing pad. He crashes hard, breaks his leg. As he looks up in agony, he sees Borden, dressed as Root, taking a bow on his stage. In front of the crowd, Borden calls out the trick and invites them to see the real transported man. Backstage, Cutter is furious. He blames Olivia for the leak, says she must have betrayed them. So Angier breaks into Borden's theater and confronts her about the secret to Borden's trick. Olivia finally tells him that Borden uses a double, but Angier refuses to believe it. It's too simple. So, he twists it, again. He takes Borden's diary given to him by Olivia, and stages a break-in at Borden's workshop to make it seem stolen. That night, after the show, Borden tells Fallon that he'll walk today. But Angier is following him. But what Angier doesn't know is that Fallon is now following him. A magician's cat and mouse, layered paranoia. Angier slips into a building. Fallon follows, and falls into a trap. A rigged staircase. A locked box. Cutter seals it. Fallon's trapped. He shoots through the box, injuring Cutter, but it's too late. The next morning, Borden meets Angier in a cemetery. The tension is sharp. Borden demands Fallon's location. Angier demands the secret. Borden writes a word on a slip of paper. Says it's the keyword to his diary, and also to his trick. Angier then tells Borden that Fallon's buried alive. Right here. Borden panics. Digs frantically. He saves Fallon, just in time. Meanwhile, Angier visits Cutter in the hospital and shows him the keyword. Tesla. Confirmation. Borden had help. Real tech. Real science. And now Angier needs to get it too. Later, Borden, Sarah, Fallon, and Olivia have dinner at a hotel. But there's tension. Sarah sees how close Olivia and Borden have become. She calls him out, says he's cold. Like he's not even himself. And she's right, but not for the reasons she thinks. Outside the hotel, Angier spots two men watching him. The hotel manager casually says, "They're Edison's men." Of course they are. This movie loves layers. Now, Olivia tells Borden she once loved Angier, but hates who he's become. She urges Borden to show his fingers, his truth. The proof of his authenticity. She offers to help him, refine the act, connect with the audience. And we see her loyalty quietly shift to Borden. And then comes the twist. The diary Olivia gave Angier? It was a setup. The keyword, Tesla, just misdirection. A trap. When Angier realizes it, he storms into Tesla's lab, furious. Accuses Tesla and Ali of wasting his time, and his money. But Tesla calmly replies, "We've been working." Tesla runs another test. This time with a cat. Nothing happens. No trick. No magic. Frustrated, Angier storms off, until he hears something outside. Cats. Fighting. He follows the sound, and what he finds changes everything. A clearing filled with his hats, dozens of them. And beside them, 2 identical cats. The machine worked, but it didn't transport. It duplicated. Tesla confirms it. The machine copies. Not moves. Everything changes. Back in London, Borden and Sarah are falling apart. He tells her he loves her. She looks at him and says, "Today, I believe you." Which, heartbreakingly, implies, some days, she doesn't. Because she was right, some days, he's not the same man. Borden turns to Fallon. "I need your help. This isn't just about the act anymore, it's about living 2 lives." Then he pulls away from Olivia too, cold, distant. Emotionally switching identities is taking its toll on everyone. In Colorado, Tesla prepares to leave. Edison's men are closing in. But before he goes, he leaves Angier a machine and a letter. The letter says, "Destroy it. Bury it deep." But Angier doesn't. He steps into the machine, activates it, and it works. Back in prison, Borden reads Angier's diary. And suddenly, he realizes. It was a trap. Angier wrote it for him, a breadcrumb trail meant to frame him. And it worked. Borden is set to hang for a crime he didn't commit. Owens visits again, asking for his secrets in exchange for Jess's future. Borden gives him everything, except the prestige. He asks only for one thing in exchange for the prestige. He wants to see his daughter, one last time. In the past, things between Borden and Sarah are breaking down. She begs him to be honest, to stop lying. But the colder Borden lashes out, dismisses her pain. Fallon quietly takes Jess away, as if he knew what was coming. And then, Sarah is gone, she commits suicide. Another innocent life lost to the cost of obsession. Meanwhile, Angier prepares his grand return. The real transported man. He brings Cutter back, but now, he wants Cutter to work in the front, not backstage, and now, his crew is made entirely of blind stagehands. Suspicious, but strategic, Cutter introduces him to a man named Ackerman, who's blown away by the trick. At a hotel, Olivia meets with Borden. She says Sarah wanted to meet her before she died, to tell her something. Borden coldly admits, "I never truly loved Sarah. Part of me loved you." That's her breaking point. She knows he'll say that to the next woman too. She leaves, but not before warning him. Angier has a new version of the trick. It's real, and Borden has to see it. At the show, Angier steps into the machine. Flash of light. Moments later, he reappears at the top of the stage. No twin, no delay. It's perfect. Now Borden is obsessed. He tells Fallon to figure it out, but eventually tells him to stop. Still, he keeps attending. He can't let it go. Then comes the final night. The show begins. Angier takes the stage. As usual, he invites volunteers to inspect the machine. One of them is Borden. He checks the machine, nods, walks off, but instead of returning to his seat, he slips backstage. There, in the darkness, he finds a water tank, a trapdoor, and a blind stagehand. And then, the trapdoor opens. Angier falls into the tank, and starts to drown. Borden watches, shocked, and then tries to smash the tank. But he's too late. Cutter rushes in, and sees Borden with an axe. It looks exactly like murder. Borden is arrested, tried, and sentenced to hang. Outside, the world moves on. Owens visits Cutter, this time as a buyer. Lord Caldlow wants all of Angier's equipment, especially one machine, the transported man. In prison, Borden is broken. Days from death. Then, he gets a visitor. It's Lord Caldlow, and he's brought Jess. Borden smiles as he talks with Jess, until he looks up, and freezes. Because Lord Caldlow is Angier. Alive, triumphant, cold. Borden pleads. Offers him the final secret, the prestige, in exchange for Jess's safety. But Angier tears it up. Angier walks out with Jess. Behind him, Borden screams, pleads with the guards, begging them to listen, to believe that the man he's accused of killing is still alive. But no one listens. To the world, Robert Angier is dead, and Lord Caldlow is just another wealthy aristocrat with a theater obsession. Meanwhile, Cutter arrives at Caldlow's estate, only to discover the unthinkable truth. Caldlow is Angier. He's alive. Cutter is stunned, betrayed. All this time, he thought he was helping bring justice, when in reality, he helped send an innocent man to die. Cutter tells Angier he came to beg Lord Caldlow to destroy the machine, but now that he knows the truth, he won't beg him. Angier insists the machine will never be used again. He asks Cutter to deliver it to the theater and lock it away for good. At the prison, Fallon visits Borden one final time. Borden, worn down, apologizes for everything, especially for what happened to Sarah. He tells Fallon to live for both of them now. Fallon says little, just goodbye. That night, under cover of darkness, Cutter brings the machine to the theater. Angier is already there. As Cutter wheels it in, he says nothing, just watches the man who shattered everything. At the same time, Borden is brought to the gallows. Cutter, just before leaving, tells Angier to reflect on what he's truly accomplished. Then he exits the theater, as another man approaches from the shadows. Cutter sees him and simply nods. Because now, it's time for the prestige. Borden is hanged. A final, grim act. In the theater, Angier hears something in the darkness. He assumes it's Cutter, but then, a red rubber ball rolls toward him, Borden's ball. He picks it up, confused. When he looks up, it's already too late. A figure steps from the shadows and shoots him. Angier drops. The ball rolls from his hand. The shooter walks forward. He's missing 2 fingers. He removes his hat, and it's Borden. Or rather, the twin. Here's the final twist the film has been quietly building toward. Borden never escaped. Fallon, the quiet assistant all along, was his identical twin. The two lived one life, alternating between roles. One was on stage, the other in the shadows. When one lost fingers, the other did the same. They sacrificed everything for the illusion. And now, one is dead. The other stands before Angier, watching him die. Angier realizes the truth, all the confusion, all the inconsistency, it finally makes sense. When Sarah said, "Some days you mean it, and some days you don't," she wasn't speaking metaphorically. She was living with 2 different men. One loved her, the other loved Olivia. This was their prestige. Angier, bleeding out, finally reveals his own horrible truth. Each night, he used Tesla's machine knowing it created a clone. And each night, one version of him drowned in a locked tank beneath the stage while the other appeared elsewhere. He didn't know which one he'd be. The man who died, or the man who lived. That's why he never let Cutter backstage. That's why he hired blind stagehands, so no one would see the truth. He tells Borden that it was never about revenge, not even about the audience. It was about the look on their faces, the awe, the wonder, when they saw the impossible. And then, Angier dies. The twin walks away into the dark theater, past rows of water tanks. Each one holding a drowned Angier. Dozens of sacrifices, dozens of illusions, dozens of deaths. As he exits, Michael Caine's narration returns. The voice of Cutter, echoing the film's opening words. Now you're looking for the secret, but you won't find it. Because of course, you're not really looking. You don't want to work it out. You want to be fooled. The final shot lingers on a tank, and inside it, Angier's body. Still, cold, lifeless. That was his final illusion. His final cost. And that's the prestige. Every time I revisit this film, it lands differently. It's not just about magic or rivalry, it's about obsession, sacrifice, and the dangerous line between brilliance and self-destruction. Borden and Angier weren't just opponents, they were mirrors, each chasing something they could never fully hold onto. One died every night, the other lived only half a life. That was the cost of their art. The movie tells you how it ends from the very beginning. But the magic is in how it gets there. Because in the end, the greatest trick the prestige ever pulled was making us want to be fooled. You just didn't want to believe it, and if you made it this far, thank you. Seriously, this was a deep dive, and it means a lot that you stuck with it. If this breakdown hit you, drop a like, share your thoughts, or tell me which scene hit hardest. And if anything's still unclear, ask in the comments, I've got you. Until next time, stay curious, stay obsessed, and remember, proving a point can cost you everything. Obsession always has a price. See you in the next one.